In my last video, I talked about how the standard range rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 is just outstanding value when compared to other vehicles at the same price point. It is just loaded with awesome features like air-cooled seats, a screen in the back, yada yada yada. I love it. However, for just a little more money, you can have all those juicy features plus all-wheel drive, faster performance, a bigger battery, and much better sound system. It's basically just a better version of an already great car. While that decision seems like a no-brainer, let me ask you, how much is all of that stuff actually worth? I mean, actually, because it's a very tough question and one we thought a lot about before ultimately choosing the cheaper rear-wheel drive version. So today, in case you are also on the fence, I'm going to talk about why you should or shouldn't get one over the other from a logical, not an emotional standpoint. Because let's face it, if you let your brain tell you what to do, get the faster one. Yeah, get the faster one. Now, before I really get into it, I have to say, I really wanted the long range one. I talked myself into it. Do I need the extra speed? No. Do I want it? Oh yeah. Do I need a better sound system? I don't. Would it be awesome? Definitely. If you can afford it and know you're going to be getting the refreshed Model 3 either way, I mean, the all-wheel drive is an easy recommendation. If you haven't test driven it yet, go try it, see what happens. It's bonkers. But the thing is, for us, the extra cost between them is significant. We wanted to buy a second car as a commuter to save money, and since the base model, for example, qualifies for an extra $4,000 provincial rebate for us that stretches the price difference between these models from $10,000 to $14,000, that right there is a lot of money for our family. It's vacations, it's furniture, it's braces for our kids, and since the base model is so good and so loaded, we felt we were able to get our cake and eat it too, but I still think about that long range model, I'm not gonna lie. So let's break down each of the main reasons why I wanted it so bad and how I eventually talked myself into the base model version. Let's get into it. The speed. I'm gonna be honest, even though I'm not a track guy or anything like that, I'm a sucker for speed. It's so fun when you have a passenger and you step on it and they go like they're on a roller coaster. Plus, it's so much fun when you drive around town and you zip up to the speed limit extremely quick. It never gets old. Look at that difference. The all-wheel drive gets 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds and the rear-wheel drive gets it in 6.1. That's a big difference right there. But for anyone who has never owned a sports car in their life, let me assure you that 6.1 seconds still feels fast, and the rear-wheel drive model will impress whoever you drive with its pull. It is enough power to make people feel sick in the passenger and especially in the rear seats. Every day it still puts a smile on my face, and I love it. Do I wish it was a little faster at times? Sure, but where I live, there just aren't enough opportunities to really enjoy that added acceleration. So while I still dream about that extra performance, for daily driving, I just don't think that reason alone is worth spending over $10,000 on. I mean, that might be different if I didn't have a young family, but again, we're trying to find that sweet spot of value to performance, and the rear-wheel drive speed is enough to make us non-race car folk happy. Rear-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive. This one was really tough for me. I have experienced times in my life where a rear-wheel drive truck with winter tires could not get up a hill where an all-wheel drive truck with bald tires got up it easily. That always stayed with me. And where we live has a ton of hills, so my instinct was to obviously get the all-wheel drive. However, technology has changed. And while all-wheel drive is way better in the snow, rear-wheel drives nowadays, especially with the weight of EV batteries being down so low and close to the ground, it has gotten better. Plus, if it's snowing, you should have winter tires on anyway. And once I thought about how the all-wheel drive has the same performance when it comes to stopping and going down hills than the rear-wheel drive, it made me feel better that the rear-wheel drive could still be quite capable in hairy situations. The fact of the matter though, where we live, it doesn't snow a lot. It rains a lot. And I was quite concerned I'd be sliding around corners with the rear-wheel drive, but I'm not. It's just fine. The traction control nowadays is so good. I mean, the rear-wheel drive is absolutely fine in really wet weather, and with the right tires, which you should have anyways, regardless of which one you get, are what makes the biggest difference. If we had snow more than a couple days a year, I would strongly consider the all-wheel drive, but since we have another vehicle that has all-wheel drive and can just keep this car at home if it snows, the extra cost just wasn't worth it here either. The battery and range. So these cars have different batteries in them, and it's pretty interesting. The rear-wheel drive uses lithium iron phosphate batteries, while the all-wheel drive uses nickel manganese cobalt ones. The main difference is that while the LFP battery holds less energy, it can be charged all the way to 100% over and over again without dramatically shortening the lifespan of the battery. You can just keep it plugged in all the time and you're good to go. From what I understand with NMC batteries is that you don't want to keep the state of charge above 80% unless you're going to use it. I guess the cells above 80% are so tightly packed in there, it's not great for the longevity of the battery. So you do get more range with the all-wheel drive when it's fully charged, 548 kilometers as opposed to 438 kilometers. But if the maximum you keep the long-range all-wheel drive charged to is 80% like they recommend for your daily driving needs, look at the range you get then, 438 kilometers. It's the same as the standard range version. So while it is nice to have the ability to be able to charge it to 100% and get more range if you're going on that trip, for daily driving, one could argue it's nicer or easier to use and maintain the LFP battery. They're supposed to last longer too. The sound system. I'm a sucker for good sound. I've reviewed lots of speakers on my channel, and when music sounds good, you just feel good. I will admit that the sound system in the rear-wheel drive base model is mediocre. I think almost everything else on the car is impressive, but with the stock sound system, it's fine. It's fine. It does the job. It's not that bad. Here's the thing though, I'm a little older now, and while I still love cranking tunes once in a while, I prefer to listen to podcasts and audiobooks a lot of the time. And the stock sound system is just fine for that. I realize you can't really add speakers to increase the quality later, so if this is something you think you might want, you should get it in the beginning, but I have tinnitus from having big speakers in my car during my teenage years. I don't listen to loud music these days anymore, at least not for prolonged periods. I sure would love to have nicer quality music with more range, but is it worth an extra $14,000 for me? So that's it. Those are the main differences between the standard rear-wheel drive Model 3 and the long-range all-wheel drive one. For some who don't qualify for the extra rebate, the difference between them will be less than it was for us. And well, honestly, if you can afford it, I think the quality of life upgrades in the long-range all-wheel drive sure would be amazing to have. But if, like us, you want a quality of life upgrade, which the base model Tesla rear-wheel drive offers, and want to get all the benefits that EVs offer while trying to save as much money as possible, the rear-wheel drive is just the best option out there right now, in my opinion. $10,000 is a lot of money. Think about what you could actually buy in your life with that money. You could get a new big OLED TV, new furniture, an electric bicycle, a home gym, and a vacation, then still be left with a sweet car. And honestly, with the base model, it's fast. And the rear-wheel drive with good tires should almost always get you where you need to go, depending on where you live. The range on the base model is fantastic for your daily driving needs, and the sound system lets you hear what you're listening to just fine. The rear-wheel drive will wow your friends and family and make you smile when you drive it. It's practical, it's fun, it's great value. On the other hand though, if value isn't a word you need to use at this stage in your life, I would really suggest you do go drive the all-wheel drive model. It might just blow your mind and make you want it right then and there. It's insanely impressive and will probably be the best car you've ever driven. If you have a family and are trying to save money, like us, get the rear-wheel drive one. You will be happy and have money left over for accessories, home chargers, winter tires, etc. If you are just wondering if you should buy the all-wheel drive because it's better and you can't afford it, yes, you should. It's incredible. They're both incredible, but the all-wheel drive one is just kind of next level. I know it might seem like I'm a Tesla fanboy all of a sudden. It's because I kind of am. These cars are just that good, especially if you haven't bought a new vehicle in a while. It'll probably blow your mind. I'm not a super car guy who's used to driving Porsches and BMWs. I'm someone who has driven a lot of cars, but I always look for the best deals, the Mazdas, the Hondas, the Toyotas, and I always try and get the most features for my money while having the most fun and saving lots of money in the long run. And the base model Tesla 3 right now is it for us. My accountant wife mathed out our fuel savings over the next 3, 5, and 10 years, and it really was a no-brainer for us since we have the ability to charge at home every night. Do I regret not buying the all-wheel drive? Look, I'm always going to regret it. I love having the best things, but that's because I'm an emotional fellow. But I do have a logical part of my brain, and I do have a very logical wife who keeps me grounded. The rear-wheel drive is the smart choice to make for most people, and that's the one to get. But the all-wheel drive, I mean, hey, no one's gonna blame you for getting that either. If you will do a lot of driving, I would understand that you get it. But if it's just for errands and running your family to sports, think logically about how best to spend and save your money. Either way, if you're curious about how much they cost, I will leave my referral link below. If you ever decide to get one, that link will get you an extra $1,000 off your purchase. We used a referral link when we bought ours, so with the $9,000 in rebates we qualified for, plus the referral link, we got $10,000 off the sticker price. That was a huge part of why we got it now. Those rebates aren't going to be around forever. In case you missed the video where I talked about different car technologies and fuel savings when comparing EVs, hybrids, and plugins, check that video out here. And if you didn't catch my last video where I showcased some of the features in the rear-wheel drive 2024 Tesla Model 3, watch that here. It sure is impressive. I'd be curious to which one you would buy if you were to buy one right now. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Sad Life.